Don't know what that means. Oh yeah, here we go. So kia ora koutou, thank you very much for coming to this presentation by EY this afternoon. It's great to have you all here. I'm Lucy, I'm from the Career Development Centre. I'm the Graduate Recruitment Coordinator, and it's my pleasure to host Hannah and Harry from EY this afternoon. Hannah's the campus recruiter at EY, and she looks after the intern and graduate recruitment nationally for EY. Harry, who has a broken webcam, so he's just a voice in the dark. Harry is the technology consultant within the advisory practice in the Wellington office, and his work mainly focuses around large-scale tech transformations. And he's an Otago alumni. Yay! He graduated in 2018, majoring in software engineering. Okay, so Hannah, over to you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lucy. Kia ora, everyone. It's lovely to be here this afternoon. Talking into my computer as everyone is sort of getting used to in this COVID-19 age that we're currently living in. So look, we're really excited to be on this call with you this afternoon, and we've got a bit of a presentation to run through with you. I'll be doing a bit of talking, and then I'll hand over to Harry to do a bit of talking about some of the work that he's involved in and sort of what him and his team do. And then we'll wrap up with a little bit of an overview of the programs that are on offer at EY and sort of how our recruitment process works. And then we'll have heaps and heaps of time hopefully left over for any questions that you have. Look, we're really happy to answer questions, so please don't be shy and ask away. I think you can ask, I'm sure you're okay to come off mute or pop a question in the chat box, whatever's easiest for you. But yeah, we're really sort of here to answer any questions that you have. So that will be the bulk of our session this afternoon. I won't talk at you for too long. But look, just wanted to start with giving you a bit of an overview about EY and who we are. So on the screen, you can see a lovely little map of the world, and we've got three sort of main regions that EY breaks itself into. So we've got the Americas, EMEA, and then Asia Pacific. New Zealand falls within the Asia Pacific region, and more specifically, we belong to the region that we've deemed Oceania, which is Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and Papua New Guinea. As you can see, we're in over 150 countries worldwide, and we have about 280,000 people across those offices worldwide. Tony Johnson is our CEO and regional managing partner for Oceania. And I guess to give you a bit of an insight into what that means for someone like myself or someone like Harry, who's sitting in our Wellington office or working from home, but in Wellington, and then I'm working from home, but in Auckland. Tony has actually been sending video updates to the Oceania staff, which is everyone in Oceania EY, each Friday throughout this sort of COVID-19 era when we're all working from home, and his video updates are really great, and it's just kind of nice to hear from him. And he just gives us information about what's happening, you know, what this crisis means for EY and how we can sort of navigate through that. So in practice, we really are a global firm. We don't just sort of have an office sitting over in America that has nothing to do with an office in Australia, for example. We are very connected globally. In my day job, I am dealing with people from an office in Dalian, an office in Manila. I've dealt with people from the Americas before. So yeah, we definitely do act as a global firm. So just wanted to point that out because I think it's really important to know sort of how we work. In terms of our service lines at EY, so we have 4 main service offerings that we offer to our clients, and they fall under assurance, advisory, transactions advisory services, and tax. I won't go into a huge amount of detail about what those service lines do, but I will give you a quick overview on each of them. So assurance is the main sort of offering that falls under the assurance branch is audit, and that's providing financial audits to our clients. But we also have a financial integrity services division, as well as a climate change and sustainability services division, and they fall under the assurance branch because they provide, I guess, an audit of those areas to our clients. So they might audit a climate change and sustainability audit. They might perform one of those audits on our client to confirm whether they are operating in a sustainable manner, for example. Advisory is the division that Harry works in. So he'll talk in more detail, and he'll give you some really good detail in specifically around how technology fits into our advisory practice. But essentially advisory is broken into two main areas, performance improvement and risk. Performance improvement is, as it sounds, anything really to do with improving processes and systems and offerings that our clients have for their customers, for example. That can fall under that performance improvement branch. And then risk is conversely managing any risks that our clients may be experiencing. So whether that is risk of cyber attacks and protecting data, or other forms of risk that our clients might be experiencing as well. Transactions advisory services is sort of, you can think of it as our corporate finance offering for our clients. So we've sort of got three main areas under, we call it TAS. At EY, there are a lot of acronyms and we like to make them sound really cool and funky. So TAS is Transactions Advisory Services. And look, the three main areas are transaction diligence. So that's sort of the mergers and acquisitions and kind of assessing a business's financial performance and whether it's a viable option to kind of for another client to purchase that business and all that type of work. And then there's valuations, modelling and economics, which is kind of, as it says on the tin, providing valuations for companies that may be looking to incorporate another company and under them. And then finally, in New Zealand, we also have infrastructure advisory, which is large government clients that essentially are rolling out big projects. So something like helping to build a highway, for example, a new highway. Our infrastructure team might advise on things like budgeting for that highway and length of time required and all of that type of thing. And then last but not least, we have tax. And tax also is fairly self-explanatory. We offer a whole range of services that have to do with taxation for our clients. So that can be anything from business advisory, where our consultants are actually advising our clients on how to sort of get the most out of their tax, or you know, making sure that they're compliant in how they're completing their tax and that sort of thing. And we also offer some accountancy services as part of our tax branch as well. So high net worth individuals or small businesses can seek the assistance of our private tax consultants, who will assist them with their sort of taxation and accountancy requirements. So in a nutshell, that is kind of our four main offerings at EY. And to give you a bit more of an understanding about the types of projects that we do and the types of clients that we have, we've got a short video to play. So can someone please shout out if you can't hear it? We did just test it before and it worked. So please sing out if you can't hear this.
The world of work is changing faster than ever. Entire industries are being disrupted. Businesses have a choice, and so do you. Embrace change or be left behind. Will automation accelerate your career or stall it?
Oh, sorry guys.
At EY, we're embracing change and see opportunity where others may see threat. We're disrupting ourselves while building a workforce for tomorrow. What matters most in the transformative age? We believe it's your mindset, in addition to your skill set, that will help you succeed. Analytics, innovation, and the ability to think and act globally. Bring us your curiosity. We'll show you how better questions can build a better working world. Bring us your open mind. We'll show you how technology is creating new frontiers in professional services careers. We are building a better working world. We are EY. Are you?
Okay, so look, that's enough of me talking for a little while. So hopefully that's given you a bit of a broad understanding of EY and the types of services that we offer. And I'm now going to hand over to Harry to talk through the next little part of our presentation. So yeah, over to you, Harry.
Awesome. Kia ora, everyone. Can someone give me a thumbs up if they can hear me? Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. So it's quite hard to follow that video, but what I thought I'd do is kind of just talk a little bit about my experience so far at EY and what I specifically do, and then talk a little bit more generally about the kind of offerings we provide within the tech space and specifically within advisory within New Zealand and also globally. So thanks for the introduction before. We had kind of established that I graduated from Otago and I really do miss that place. And I majored in software engineering and minored in finance. And I guess I kind of began my journey with EY initially within the Career Compass program, which is something that I'm sure Hannah will touch on later. But quick plug here, if you're considering applying for it, definitely do. I learned a lot about the way that EY works and the kind of different service offerings that we provide as part of that program. And sort of in 2019, I joined as a graduate in Wellington, which I've been thoroughly enjoying. And yeah, my work primarily kind of revolves around tech-related projects within advisory. And to kind of break down what I guess technology consulting is and what exactly I do and give you guys some kind of insight into what you actually might be doing if you work in a professional services firm like EY, I thought I'd just kind of touch on a few examples of some projects I've worked on, just to kind of help break that down and maybe make it a bit clearer what I kind of mean when I say tech consulting, as it can be very broad, as I'm sure many of you are kind of aware. So the first real thing I kind of worked on was something called holiday pay, and that's related to a piece of legislation called the Holidays Act that was written in 2003. And because of the way that it was written, it kind of led to a lot of ambiguity around how certain laws were applied related to paying people for their annual leave and stuff like that. So what ended up happening was that basically a lot of New Zealanders ended up getting underpaid for their leave allowances. And so I was engaged as part of a larger EY team, basically to look at this specific company's data, analyze how they had been paying their employees over the past certain number of years and figure out how to remediate that problem for them. And I guess how does tech kind of come into that? Well, you're not really dealing with thousands of records, you're dealing with millions of records related to employee data, related to their entries for time and stuff like that, and also related to their payroll. So you need to know how to manipulate complex data sets and present it over multiple platforms for different users to be able to understand and engage with. And so I did a lot of stuff like building simulations inside R and using Python scripts to manipulate the data set in order to really understand what was happening, and to ultimately get to one number for, you know, thousands of employees that represented the kind of aggregate underpayment or overpayment that that company might have given to that employee unintentionally. So yeah, it was a very cool project. And I guess the thing that kind of stuck with me was that it's actually like we're really giving back money to New Zealanders. And it was kind of like a cool thing to see towards the end of that. Some other stuff I've kind of worked on is sort of like technology PMOs. This is vastly different to holiday pay, where I was kind of engaged with a senior manager at EY also to go into a government agency and basically understand the different kind of tech projects they had there, and the dependencies between them, and whether or not they would be able to meet this deadline that they had set for themselves. So vastly different, very different skill set, very much sort of talking to people, understanding vendor and contracting relationships and how those dependencies needed to be managed and optimized to find sort of like the critical path that you need to deliver those projects. I've also provided just kind of data analytical support to various projects. So I've done some modeling in the health sector as part of my work, and I've also done some stuff related to the COVID response, which has been really interesting. And then what I guess I find myself more predominantly working on is sort of like large scale tech transformations, which is where you kind of go into an organization or an agency and you look at their current way that they're operating and you try to identify and establish kind of what's not working now in order to enable them to get to a specific desired end goal, right? And you develop that kind of roadmap to get there for them. And you kind of try to understand how tech can be used to enable that transformation. So yeah, that's a little bit about what I do. And if you've got any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question, or type it into the chat. I've got it open as well. And I can kind of answer those. But now I guess I'll talk a bit more generally about what EY does in the tech space for a bit. So if we could just flip to the next slide. Hannah, is that you, or am I controlling this? Oh, no, there we go. It's coming up. Awesome. That's a little bit, yeah, there we go, perfect. So tech disruption is changing our organization along with every other organization in the world, as I'm sure you guys are aware. We kind of live in a world where it took only 3 years for Snapchat to be valued at 10 billion, which is just absolutely insane. And every business in the world, including us, are really looking forward to future-proof their services. And our clients are really looking to us to help them navigate the risks and the opportunities that are being posed by these tech advancements. And these are kind of the buzzwords that you hear, I guess, like blockchain, big data and analytics, RPA, or robotic process automation, artificial intelligence, which kind of were buzzwords, I guess, a few years ago, but now are becoming like a real thing that lots of companies really want to implement, and they want to understand how they can leverage them in order to manage risk and also act on opportunities that arise. And at EY, these tech advancements drive not only the work that we're doing for clients and how we do that work, but also how we are future-proofing our own services. So we are really integrating these things into sort of the fabric of how EY works and how we work with our clients. So yeah, up next, I thought I'd just give you guys kind of a quick rundown on some pragmatic examples of what we do inside the tech space. So I guess it's pretty easy to look at companies like Tesla, Uber, Amazon, and Google and kind of see how they apply tech when they're innovating, right? You can see sort of a Tesla driving down the street, and you can kind of imagine all of the complex technology that they have that is helping make that car do what it does, right? But with EY and I guess other professional services firms, it's maybe not as easy to see that connection, right? We don't necessarily go out and build self-driving cars or, smart devices or social platforms. But the thing is that we work with the companies who do. And often that allows us to gain unique insight into the way that innovations are impacting companies and how these digital trends are really impacting every sector, which is then sort of what we use to shape our advice with other clients, right? And as such, we're investing really heavily in areas like analytics and AI in order to help clients accomplish things that simply weren't possible a few years ago. So yeah, some concrete examples. We build software. I was just talking a little bit before about how I built some software within that piece of work that I did related to holiday pay. But sort of a bigger example that's more global within EY is something called the EY Digital Audit. And that's basically an application that audit clients use with EY in order to automate some of the processes and procedures around sort of regular audits. And that helps reduce client burden and enhances on focusing areas that require auditor judgment. So yeah, that's kind of like a bigger example of building software. We work with bots and we leverage AI. Yep, as I said before, these aren't really just becoming buzzwords anymore. They are a real thing that we are implementing all the time. We automate many of our own back office services in order to make our internal operations more efficient. And I think there's some stat like we've saved around 2 million hours just through doing this. And we've also developed an AI tool recently to predict the correct tax treatment based on what it has seen before, right? So that that frees up our teams to identify additional tax relief and engage more personally with EY clients. So we're really using tech here to support what we do and to enable us to kind of deliver more innovatively what we can to our clients. And then finally, there we've got some stuff about blockchain, how we innovate with startups. A nice example of that is from the wine industry, using a platform called the EY Ops Chain platform. So we have sort of several EY clients in the wine industry who use EY blockchain solutions in order to assure the quality, provenance, and authenticity of new and vintage wines in order to help reduce the issue of wine fraud. Which is kind of a random issue and something I didn't really know existed, but apparently it is, and it's something that we've done something cool with, which is very cool. And so far, more than 11 million bottles of wine are being tracked using that platform. So that's pretty cool. And then finally, I guess just some surprising facts about EY, or I guess some stuff you might not necessarily know about us just from sort of reading on the internet. We've got sort of this connected global network of wave-space flagships, right? And what a wave-space flagship is really like a space for clients and EY to come together innovatively and use sort of stuff like design thinking and agile principles to really understand their problems in a way that makes us able to prototype solutions and do innovative stuff like that really quickly, right? So it's all about getting to the bottom of the problem and helping establish that how we can help them in the most efficient way. And I actually have a friend who did some work as part of the Wavespace team in Auckland and is now over in Australia doing more work with some of the Wavespace teams over there. So it's very cool and something you could get exposed to if you wanted to work in that kind of space. Yeah, we obviously have a lot of DNA or data and analytics practitioners with more than 2,000 data scientists with advanced analytical capabilities. So that's something we're investing in really heavily because we understand that clients really want to understand and get the most out of the data that they currently have, right? And of course, being a big company, we have strategic alliances with lots of big tech companies like SAP, Microsoft, and Cisco. And yeah, so we have over 40,000 technology people working at EY, and of course I'm one of them, and over 22,000 data professionals working worldwide as well. And this is a team that's growing constantly too. We're planning on investing somewhere around US 1 billion just in new tech solutions, client services and innovation over the next 2 years. So it's definitely an exciting space to be part of. And it's something that I've really enjoyed. So hopefully that's given you some kind of insight into what I do at EY. And I'm sure maybe it's not that clear still. And if it's not, feel free to ask a question. But yeah, I see there is a question in the chat, but Hannah has said she will answer that. Awesome. Okay, cool. So I'll pass back over to Hannah now to talk through some of the characteristics of an EY professional and sort of the opportunities that we have for students.
Cool. Thank you so much for that, Harry. That was really good to hear from you. And I'm sure it does answer some of the questions that students may have had about exactly what we do and how a technology background can actually fit into a place like EY. But as Harry said, I will talk through a little bit about how everything that we've talked about in the last sort of 20 minutes kind of fits into recruitment. So look, up on the screen, there's a couple of bullet points about some of the things that we think characterize an EY professional, and that's across the board. So that's from people who work in our recruitment team like me, all the way through to people like Harry who work in a client-facing role as a consultant. We're looking for people that think in a diverse way and are strategic and can influence people and you know, make decisions and advise their clients on how to sort of move forward in the best way possible. We're looking for people who can show that they can be inclusive leaders with a global mindset. And we're looking for innovators who ask better questions. You would have seen in the video that was the better the world works. That's sort of our EY motto, and that's kind of how we navigate through the world and what our lens is when we're you know, talking to clients about how we can help them move forward. So look, we do have quite a few opportunities available. Now applications have closed for our early recruitment round, but we are looking to recruit again in July for all 3 of our programs. So I can see my sound is freezing a little bit, so I might just turn my video off to just hopefully help with my internet connection. So apologies, I'm going to go into the dark for a little while. Okay, hopefully you can all hear me still, and hopefully this helps with my sound. Apologies for that. So as I was saying, we do have a number of programs that we will be recruiting for in July. We will have our Career Compass program, which Harry, that was his introduction to EY right back in the very beginning. We are looking for students that are in their 1st or 2nd year to come and join us on that program. So if you're in your if you're in your 2nd year of a 3-year degree, then you'd probably be able to apply, or you will be able to apply for our internship. But if you're doing a contract, you apply for the Career Compass program. It's essentially a 1-day workshop where you do a bit of a deep dive into EY, and you learn about all of our different service lines and what they offer to the clients, and in turn what they offer to you as someone who's coming to work at EY. Oh no, my sound isn't working very well. I'm not sure what to do, because my internet is saying that it's stable, it's fully connected, so I'm not sure why this is happening. I'm really sorry, guys. Perhaps I'll stop sharing my screen briefly and see if that works. Hopefully that's better. But yeah, please do let me know if it does cut out again. So if you, as I said, are in your 1st year, you would apply for the Career Compass program. It's a 1-day workshop where you get a bunch of information about EY, and you also get the opportunity to take away some really useful skills. So you learn about how to tackle a case study, you learn about how to interview well. Oh, thank you so much, Harry. I appreciate that. You get some really valuable skills. So it's not just about, you know, you learning about EY, you also get the opportunity to take away some really useful skills that will be beneficial to you in the long run. You also get the opportunity to apply for an internship early, which is really amazing, and it's such a good opportunity. So I highly recommend taking advantage of that program. You do have to apply, so it's not a guaranteed. We can't unfortunately take every student that applies, but definitely would encourage you to look into it when you see an email come through from someone like Lucy, who will probably help me with that in the future in terms of marketing that. And then look, our internship, this is where I can help to answer your question, Amar. The intern program is designed for students who are in their penultimate year of study, and we're actually looking for students that haven't had much experience, if any experience. It is a program that is designed for coming in and learning all about how to sort of work in a professional environment. So I think in your situation, with having got quite a lot of work and experience under your belt, it probably isn't the most suitable program for someone in your situation, because it is designed for, as I said, people who haven't had experience before. And it's really your opportunity to learn all about the professional world and figure out whether EY is the type of place that you would like to work. And yeah, after the end of that internship program. The graduate program is again designed for students that are completing their studies this year. So we're looking for students that are looking to get into the workforce. And again, the program isn't designed for people that have had experience. We do have an experienced hire option. When you look on our website, if you go to the careers section, you can find out all about our experienced hire roles, and I would suggest that that would be the best place for you to have a look, Amar, just to see what's out there and what sort of would fit in with your background and your experience that you have. If you join the graduate program, you will start full-time from 2021. So applications for these 3 programs are open in July. And just to quickly talk you through the next slide, Harry. Perfect. So you've all taken the first step, which is learn. You're here, you're listening to EY talk about what we do, and that's kind of always the first step in researching whether or not you want to work somewhere. So that, yeah, I would encourage you to always be looking for opportunities to do similar things with other organisations, as well as learning. If EY really appeals to you, I would definitely encourage you to look out for other opportunities to come and speak to us or hear from us in some way. Then you would apply. Application dates will be confirmed, and we do confirm those with all the universities as well. So you will hear from us, but you could also check on our website. It's typically around mid-July. It may be a little later this year, we're not sure, but it'll be around that July-August mark. And then once you pop in your application, you are sent an invitation to complete our psychometric testing, and from there we review your application. So if your application is successful, we'll invite you to attend a recruitment day with us, and then from there you will receive an offer to join us if you successfully completed that process. So that's sort of how our recruitment process works at EY. And could I have the last slide? Perfect. So look, that's just our social media. We always like to offer students the opportunity to connect with us. But look, that was all I really wanted to share with you. I appreciate it's been a lot of us talking at you. So look, now is your opportunity to ask any questions that you have. So as I said at the beginning, feel free to come off mute if you would like to ask us a question, or you could pop a question in the chat box and we'd be happy to answer it. But fire away.
When you were talking about wave space, what are advanced analytics? So what did you mean by that?
Yeah, so sort of like machine learning type stuff, I guess, would be what we're kind of talking about with advanced analytics. But I mean, yeah, you're right. It's kind of a vague term, right? Could mean anything from like statistical modeling to more advanced stuff like, I don't know, k-means clustering, or I don't know if you want me to get specific, but yeah, just I guess machine learning in general would be what we mean when we talk about advanced analytics, noting that it does cover a lot of stuff underneath it.
Thank you. Thanks for the question, David. Has anybody else got another question that you would like to ask of us? Oh, maybe we've just done an excellent job of answering everyone's questions.
I was just wondering, with the Career Compass program day, is that held in Auckland or Wellington, or?
We actually hold it around the country, so I should have mentioned that. Good point, Sarah. We do actually run a session in Otago on campus. Obviously we don't have an office in Otago, so we travel down to you and spend the day with you, so you get essentially the same experience. The only difference would be that because we have to fly everyone in, it's a little bit tricky to get as many representatives from EY as you may expect in one of the office locations. But Harry, did you want to talk a little bit about your experience of Career Compass?
Yeah, okay, sure. So I think when I did it, it was just in the business school building, which has been all redone now since I've left. But yeah, I think it was in the boardroom or something there, and there was like maybe I think 5 representatives from EY. So there was kind of like one person almost from each office, even someone there from Christchurch, which was cool. And we just kind of talked about, I guess, what EY does. Well, they talked about what EY does, talked about the different service lines, and kind of did this exercise where we aligned our skill set to specific service lines. And then we kind of looked at a bit of a case study, I guess, just to give you guys sort of a flavor around the kind of work that we might be doing out in the real world. And we kind of worked through that with everyone there. But yeah, well worth taking part in, not a massive time commitment. And I think it's, yeah, awesome to do if you can as well, just to establish that kind of face time with people at the firm as well.
Great, thank you. Okay. Any other questions?
I had a question about the initial recruitment period. Are those applications still being assessed at the moment?
Yeah, great question, Renee. So look, we have just wrapped up. So there were some areas of the business that we've only just wrapped up the screening of those applications in the last couple of days. So now that that process is done, we are reaching out to candidates this week. So if you've still got a pending application, you haven't heard from us, I am sorry. You will hear from us in one way, shape or form, hopefully this week. And we've just been apologising to everyone because I am really conscious of the fact that it's been quite a long time for some people, and it's not our usual, time frame in terms of getting back to candidates. But I think with everything that had sort of happened with COVID-19, it did delay our recruitment process substantially. So yeah, my apologies, but hopefully you will not have to wait too much longer. You should hear from us in the next couple of days.
Cool,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks,
and I might just add something real quick, Hannah, is that we also have a DNA practice, which is kind of growing at the moment, which is focused mainly around data analytics. So if you guys are interested in that too, keep an eye out. I know for Amar, when EY does advertise in that space, it does do it on platforms like LinkedIn and Seek. So I would just keep an eye out there for those kind of roles popping open, especially for yourself as someone who's got like quite a bit of experience behind them. So yeah, just keep an eye out. Stuff does pop up every now and again. And yeah, obviously your skill set looks like you probably wouldn't be well placed in a sort of a grad role or an internship role, as Hannah was saying before.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, and Harry's right. Just because we do have our standard recruitment rounds, but from time to time there may be an area of the business that actually decides they want a grad, or decides they want an extra grad or an extra intern or whatever, and so we go out to market specifically for those areas sometimes. So yeah, I definitely encourage you. I know that you as a uni student get 50,000 emails a day, and it can be really hard keeping on track on top of those, but I would definitely encourage you to have a look through those emails and make sure that you're not missing anything, because opportunities do crop up randomly. It just depends what's out there and what's sort of happening with our business.
Yeah, for sure, exactly, Hannah. And make sure when you're thinking about getting your application sorted, just put some time aside, like a good 2 or 3 hours to work through what we need from you in that space, because it is quite a lengthy process from what I remember, unless it's changed dramatically, Hannah. Maybe it has. But yeah, make sure you dedicate some time aside to really consider what you need to be giving us, so that you can really put your kind of best foot forward, I guess would be my advice. I was kind of surprised by how long it took, if I'm being honest. So yeah, it is a bit of a process, but it's definitely worth it in the end. And the psychometric testing isn't really that scary, so don't be too worried. It's nothing too crazy. It's just sort of more assessing, I guess, if you're the right fit, and also if EY is the right fit for you. So yeah, don't be too freaked out by it, but make sure you put some good time aside to put the right of effort into your application. I know that deadlines can be quite stressful at uni if you've got an assignment due, so maybe just keep an eye on your calendar and make sure that you've got a couple hours blocked out to dedicate towards this. That might not interrupt with your study, hopefully.
Yeah,
Can I
absolutely. Oh, sorry, go Lucy.
I was just going to say the Career Development Centre is here for you guys. So if you want us to look over your CV or help you write your cover letter or practice your interviewing skills, that's what we're here for. So, don't forget, we're here. Check out all the things that we offer. Come in and see us, make an appointment, whatever. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. I often mention to take advantage of the services that are available to you. So exactly as Lucy just said, go and see the Career Development Centre if you've got any questions about your CV or your cover letter or just your application in general. That's what they're there for, and they can always give some really good advice around how to get the most out of your application. And what I was also going to say that the application process is still pretty long and arduous, so it hasn't changed a huge amount, and that's purely because there's a lot of information that we need in order to consider each candidate, and we sort of receive about 2,000 applications just in March alone. And without all that information, it's very hard for us to distinguish one candidate from another. So that's why we ask for so much information from you all. We want to know about your motivations and your career aspirations and sort of how you anticipate your career going and what's exciting to you and all that type of thing. So Harry's very right in saying to make sure that you do give yourself the time to actually do a really good job on your application. I've just got a question that's come through about applying to the graduate program if you have already graduated. Yes, you can. So our rule of thumb is that as long as you've graduated in the 18 months prior to applying to us, so if you're applying now, then if you'd graduated 18 months ago, then you're still eligible for the graduate program. And yeah, I would recommend, explaining what you've been doing since you graduated and sort of giving us an indication of, as I said, your career motivations and sort of where you see your career going, but you are absolutely eligible to apply if you meet those criteria. So hopefully that answers the question there. Oh, do we have any other questions from anyone?
I guess this is quite a hard one to answer, but what would be some of the stronger points that you'd be looking for on the internship and grad applications?
Yeah, it is a hard question to answer, but I think overall we're looking for well-rounded candidates. So we're not actually looking for a candidate that ticks every single box that we might have. We want candidates that are interesting and are involved in different things. So extracurricular stuff is really important to us. We can obviously have a look at your transcript and see your grades, and that we can see that you're a diligent student at university and you're performing well. So what we really want to see outside of that is what makes you unique. So what are some of the things that you do that perhaps another candidate who's got a similar grades and studying a similar degree to you, sort of what would set you apart from that candidate? So I mean, we've seen applications come through where for graduate roles where people have had no experience at all, but they've still got a position with us because they've done all these amazing things while they've been studying, like travel and being part of university clubs and working part-time in kind of really, retail and I think we had someone who was a cherry picker, and like we don't have a one size fits all. So my advice is always think about what it is that makes you unique as a candidate, and give us that information. Let us know that on your written application. I think that goes a long way when we're reading, as I mentioned, about 2,000 applications each year. If you can make your application stand out in any way, that's definitely, the way to go, in my opinion. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Harry?
I just completely agree with everything you said. It's just about thinking about what makes you special. And I know that sounds really cringy, and everyone hates writing stuff about themselves. But if you can really think about the skills or the kind of frame of mind or the experiences that you've had that kind of allow you to think differently to someone who's sitting next to you, or allow you to stand out, just really kind of try and bring that out in your application. I think for me, a big part of it was that I worked part-time throughout most of my university days, and they really were keen to kind of understand how I managed to sort of organize my time and still get decent grades and do all that good stuff as well, on top of sort of volunteering and things like that. So yeah, and it can be anything too. Like I think that if you've done something cool, like you've, I don't know, made some software or something, if you're a computer science student that's done something really cool that you didn't do for university, right? Like that's like a side project that you've done, just as a hypothetical, definitely mention it, right? Like that's awesome. We just want to see stuff that kind of makes you different, and stuff that makes you stand out from everyone else. Because as Hannah said, it can be quite overwhelming, I imagine, looking at so many applications and really trying to distinguish between people. I think that's pretty much it. Just find what makes you special, and kind of bring that out in your CV, and yeah, you should be fine, honestly.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd add as well is that I think people often feel a bit overwhelmed when they think about, I know from my experience, I look at intern and grad applications all day, every day. That's what I do for a job. And I can pick up any application and it's amazing, and I feel quite ashamed that I didn't get involved in as much stuff as students do these days. When I was at university a couple of years ago, I sort of was the typical student that didn't really do much outside of my university. I mean, I worked part-time the whole way through, but outside of that I wasn't really into clubs or anything like that. And so I think if you have a look at your CV and you think that it's lacking anything, if you think that you could join a club or scrub up your knowledge in a particular area, or play a sport if that's something that you've been thinking about, I think it's really important that you're always self-assessing what you are doing and whether it's important and valuable, and do things that you enjoy as well. But I definitely encourage you to sort of monitor what you are doing and what you're achieving. And if you feel that that there are areas that you can improve on, or I don't know, an example is, if you're not a confident public speaker, is there an opportunity for you to put yourself out there and have some practice in public speaking? And then that's another thing that you can add to your CV, and you can say, look, I wasn't a good public speaker, but here's the 5 things that I did to make myself more confident. So I think if you do feel that there's something that you're lacking in terms of being a really well-rounded candidate, there's nothing to stop you from going out there and achieving some things to kind of turn your application from maybe a 5 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10, for example. And you can kind of keep increasing and increasing. And we don't expect you to work yourself to the ground by any means, but as I said, do things that you enjoy and do things that challenge you as well. I think that's super important, particularly because there are so many overachievers that are out there. So don't overwork yourself, but focus on the things that you enjoy, or things that you really want to put yourself forward and get a challenge out of. Cool. Do we have any more questions from anyone?
I have a question regarding the graduate program.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask, do you happen to know when the next graduate program application will be open?
We're not too sure at this stage. It's typically July. In the last couple of years, it's been mid-July, but there's a few complications this year, like semester dates being pushed back a little bit at some universities, and a few other things that what might mean that we open a little bit later, and it might be late July, early August, but you will see it will be very well advertised. So yeah, we will always ask the universities to advertise when we're open for applications, so you'll see communications coming out about that.
Cool, thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
In the application, I think I saw that you said you wanted a transcript. What do we do if our transcript isn't complete? So we might not have our grades back for the stuff that we've done.
Yeah, I can probably take this one if you want, Hannah, because what I did is I think I went into eVision or something and then just like screenshotted what I had to date. And then I think it also says something. It says the courses you're enrolled in and that you're awaiting your final grade or something. I don't know. But yeah, like I just gave them sort of a semi-complete transcript and said that, you know, to be expected. Yeah, so you don't need anything official unless the rules have changed, Hannah. But
no, absolutely not. It's exactly what you said. We just a screenshot, whatever you can provide us is absolutely fine.
Okay, if there are no more questions. Oh, Hannah, no, you're talking?
No, I was going to say the same as you.
If nobody has any more questions, I'd just like to say thank you so much to you, Hannah, and to Harry for coming and sharing your time and your knowledge with us. It's great. And just to let you know that this presentation is being recorded and it will be available on Career Hub as a resource for a couple of weeks after this, so that you can watch it again, or that you can tell your friends who didn't manage to join us today that they can watch it. We'll be advertising that as well. Yeah, thank you so much again, Hannah and Harry. It was lovely to see you again. And
no problem.
yeah, hopefully the next time we meet it will be on campus. But anyway,
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, best of luck,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Stay
so
safe.
much,
Okay.
Lucy, and thanks, Harry, for joining. And
No problem.
It was a pleasure answering all of your questions. So yeah, really lovely to see you on the call today. Awesome. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye, Lucy.
Bye, Hannah. Bye. Bye, Harry.
Bye-bye.